Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades plus of doing wonderful things in our community, whether it's focused on food insecurity or it's Alzheimer's or it's the arts or financial literacy. They're just involved in so many great causes, as is this group as well. The La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary Club. Honored to have in the studio with us today Rick Clark. He is a past president. We're going to talk about a variety of things, including Operation Flags for Vets. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great, Drew.
Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
You bet. How long you've been involved with the La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary Club?
I came into the club in 1992, so it's been like 34 years.
34 years, so I guess you sort of like it because you're still doing it, correct?
I'm still doing it.
You're very, very good. Talk about the mission of the Rotary Club.
Well, Rotary was started back in 1905. There are about 120 million around the country,
right.
Around the world.
Right.
Excuse me. And we've got about 2,600 here in San Diego. There are 67 clubs, and we do things just all over the community, as well as international things. It is Rotary International, so it does have, I believe there are almost 200 countries that have Rotary in them.
Right. You talk about your passion. I mean, there's so many things that you focus on, whether it's education, whether it's the youth, and again, we can spend 5 hours listing every one of those. But you also have an affinity for working with the veterans and folks who have served, correct?
Yes.
Talk about that.
Well, we've been doing projects around the community since I've been in the club,
right.
And we directed our efforts about 15 years ago to Miramar.
Right.
We started doing things up there, refurbishing some of those facilities up there they're using are World War II and Korean War type facilities. So they really needed it. So we get volunteers, we pay for the materials, paints, things like this, and we'll get as many as 75, 100, 125 veterans out there or volunteers out there to do this work, and it's very rewarding because we actually can say that we made a difference. And when you're stepping back on a Saturday night or Saturday afternoon after seeing the facility completely renovated by 100 people, it's pretty rewarding.
Well, and what's great about this, and Rotary's always done this, and it's amazing how few folks understand this. Phenomenal how quickly and how well things get done if everyone's rowing in the same direction, right?
Right.
You have 100 people doing whatever the X is. It's painting or fixing up stuff. You're going to knock that job off. It's work, but relatively quickly because everybody's mind is on that aspect of it. Talk about some of the community service hands-on projects you do, and you do some of them up at Camp Pendleton with the Marines, do you not?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what are some of those?
Well, that's what I was saying. That we're taking care of some of the needs that they have up there for the Marines. You know, these kids are 19, 20, 21 years old.
That's right.
And what's really special when we're working on those projects is our club is made up of a lot of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and so forth. And you're working shoulder to shoulder with these young Marines. Because generally most of those projects will have the Marines involved also, and when you're painting there and asking about their deployments and their lives and so forth, it's very special to our members.
Yeah, and I think we were just chatting about it earlier. You got to meet Andy Soler. He's the co-chair of the Invictus Games San Diego. That's focused on something that Prince Harry had started in 2014, and can't help but move around. We're the largest military port in the country, San Diego, right. Of course, with the Marines and the Navy and the Coast Guard, a little bit of a smattering of Army, and certainly the Air Force here. But the footprint is huge, and we know that from several standpoints. What the military contributes to the economic base of this area. We work really closely, Rick, with the San Diego Military Advisory Council, and actually co-host a show with their CEO, David Boone. We always are talking about the Military Economic Impact Report. The military contributes about $70 billion in indirect spending here, and about $36 billion in direct spending. And there's nothing even comes close to what they do. Number two, a far distant number two, is entertainment and sports and in tourism and so forth. But it's so critical working with these groups, whether it's the Miramar National Cemetery or so forth. But before we talk about that operation, Flags for Vets, it's a great story. I want our audience to hear. Talk about your work with providing education opportunities for more than 50,000 boys and girls in Afghanistan. That just fascinates me.
Yeah, that started in 2002 when one of our members is an Iranian-American, Ferry Moini. She saw on TV what had happened right after 9/11. It really moved her, seeing these little kids running through the streets, and she says, "Can I go to Pakistan to see if I can do any help?" She's a trained nurse that escaped Iran back in 1979 when they had the change of power there.
Right.
And we sent her over there. Our club sent her to Pakistan. About 2 months later, she came back and she says, "Is there any way that we can build a school for girls when they get back into Afghanistan?" And Jalalabad is right on the border of Pakistan. So we sort of rolled our eyes, We said, "Yeah, you're right." But we got the ball rolling, and I designed a school that got built over there that following year.
Wow.
And it was for girls and boys. And that is, as a matter of fact, 25 years later, that's still going.
And what was it? Is it a high school? Is it a?
It's a full K through 12.
Wow. Okay.
And we had little kids in there, and the way I designed it was with a courtyard in the center, so that actually 2 courtyards. You come in one main entrance, and then you get in there. So they were completely secure in that courtyard. And we expanded that did 4 more buildings over there.
Wow.
We did a guest house because another member of our club, he's an or past district governor of La Jolla Golden Triangle, and he was the one that kind of has arranged for funding. He went out and got some of the funding from some of these foundations. And we just kept going. They would go over there. I think he was over there 12 times, and Ferry's been back 26 times. Not recently, obviously.
Of course not. But how many times have you been?
I have never been there, but I did everything through videos.
You need to get there. My goodness, you're the one who designed it. I think that's fantastic, and really a testament to you and the Rotary Club for it's still going on, and to say the least. And what you've done, the lives you've changed, of those kids. So what you've done is not just those that have gone through the school; it's everybody in their orbit. Their brothers or sisters or aunts, their uncles and grandparents, and all this. I'm preaching to the congregation. We're chatting with Rick Clark. He's the past president of La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary Club. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of taking on these real important causes in San Diego County, and really getting together, working with different groups, shoulder to shoulder on this. But I want you to tell the story. It's just fascinating. The birth of Operation Flags for Vets at Miramar National Cemetery.
I've lived in San Diego since 1971, so been 55 years now. I am a former CB. I was an engineering officer with the CBs. Spent 2 tours in Vietnam with the CBs.
Thank you for your service.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for your support.
Of course.
But I've always been enamored at Rosecrans on Memorial Weekend. I'd go out there, and the hillsides filled with that red, white, and blue just is so impressive.
Yeah, very awe-inspiring.
So about 2 years ago, and of course my office, before I retired, my office was up right off of Miramar Road, so I down that area a lot. So I'm coming down Nobel, and I decided to go and drive through just for kicks, and a light bulb went off, and it said, I don't remember them ever having flags out here on all these graves. And of course, this thing was started in 2010.
Right.
So it'd been going for 15 years, and I stopped in the office, talked with them, and they said no, that there are groups that have tried to get it going, but it just wasn't successful. They never were able to make it work. So I said, is there any objection to it? Any government or VA or anything like that it would be objecting to it? And they said, not that we know of. So we did some research, and I was appointed 3 years ago to a committee within the Rotary district here. Governor Don Phipps, he appointed or asked me if I'd like to join this new group. It's made up primarily of military officers. And the whole idea is to get Rotary involved with this incredible, as you said, this incredible area of veterans. We've got about 240,000 veterans in San Diego.
Nothing like it.
Yeah. So I approached them, and they said, let's give it a try. So we started doing some research, and I got in. I got the big chunk that I bit off. I think it was something of a challenge. We had to get the approval from Rotary. We had to get the approval from the district. We had to get approval from the group that controls all the cemeteries,
right?
All the national cemeteries, VA, all that. But we put it together, and we put 17,000 flags out that first year. That was 2 years ago, and we got about I think there were about 400 or 450 volunteers. Most of them Rotarians, but we aren't limiting this to Rotary or to Rotarians. Anybody can come out and do it, but we're the core. And it worked. Our biggest challenge was finding a place to store all those flags, because they said that this is not going to be a one-time deal. If you're going to do it, you're going to commit to having it ongoing in perpetuity. So it was a real challenge trying to find it. And then one of our members is Jim Frost of Frost Hardwood on Miramar Road, just around the corner from there. And he says, you can store it in my warehouse. So that's what we've done the last 2 years. Last year we did 20,000. This next Memorial Weekend, we're going to be putting out 23,000 flags. These are the small flags that will go right directly in front of each one of the headstones.
Yeah, when we come back from break, we're going to continue the conversation with Rick Clark, past president of La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary, and chat about Operation Flags for Vets, that it's going to be a sight to see, so forth. We've been really thrilled to have on the show talking about the folks from the memorial, about some of the great things they do. They have just had a launch of their new amphitheater, and I was fortunate to be out there and we can't do enough, and shouting out what you folks are doing at the Rotary Club, and of course support this National Cemetery. And we will be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Just so pleased to have in the studio with us today Rick Clark is a past president of La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary Club, and just talking about so many of the things that they have done in the community. So impressive, not just with all their community service hands-on projects around the county, certainly opening up a school for 50,000 boys and girls in Afghanistan have benefited from, and then their Operation Flags for Vets at Miramar National Cemetery. They'll be placing 23,000 of these flags on upcoming Memorial Day weekend. And that takes volunteers, as you mentioned before. Are you still looking for volunteers, or do you have enough volunteers, or there's never enough volunteers?
Well, you know, the thing is that the more volunteers, the quicker it goes.
Right.
And the last couple of years, it's only taken us 2.5 hours, and we've got them all in.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, we have our method is to have teams of two, one person carrying the flags and the other person down there putting them in, and we have a specific way for them to do it. Those teams of two will be assigned to various sections.
Right.
We've got, I think, 19 sections out there, and where anybody could volunteer is just go to Rotary 5340, and kind of scroll down, and there's a place for them to actually click in and volunteer.
So when you put the flags out, is it the day of, or is it the weekend? When do you put out the flags?
We put them out Saturday noon, and so they're up there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then we bring them out and put them back in storage on Tuesday. Right.
Okay. Very good. And so you're increasing it to 23,000. How many could you put out there?
Well, we're doing the whole cemetery.
Gotcha. Right. Because you did 17,000 last year, correct? Some of that effect.
And they have about 3 burials per year.
They do.
They're all new.
Well, my former or my father-in-law, he's buried there, and so we went out. I think we talked about this grand opening of a new amphitheater that's out at Miramar National Cemetery, and so forth. And we know one of our good friends is always on our show, and that's Neil O'Connell. Neil is the executive director of the Mount Soledad National Veterans Memorial. It's actually the only memorial in the country that celebrates those that are still alive, veterans that are still alive, which I think is pretty cool in that area. So the flags, does the Rotary pay for those?
Yes.
Okay. So the Rotary pays for those, but if their flags are taken care of well, you don't have to sit there and order 23,000 a year, correct?
Right.
In that aspect of it. No, that's going to be a sight to see and so forth. So again, that'll be setting it up the Saturday before that weekend, so to speak.
The 23rd. Yeah, we'll be out there. What we do is get out there early, and we put up direction arrows all over the cemetery, as well as the section numbers, very evident. And then a little bit later, we'll come around and deliver these bins, these cases of the flags to each one of the sections. And then at noon, we're asking the volunteers to be there. They'll get checked in. They'll be told, how to do this, how they're going to do it, and then sent out to the sections. And this year we're trying to do something a little different. We have bags now, very, very patriotic bags, for each one of the teams to have their bags have the flags in the bags. And then we're trying to get a situation where we can, at 12:30, we have the national anthem played over the big thing, and that says "Go."
Oh, very nice. That makes sense in that area. And then, are you folks looking at? I mean, that's quite an undertaking that you're doing now. And is the Miramar National Cemetery, is that where you like to do most of your stuff, or you're doing it all over?
We're doing it all over.
Yeah, but the flags are just at that.
It now has become kind of a signature event for the district.
Right.
Now, I'm still involved with a lot of stuff within my club.
Right.
But this has been, of all the projects I've been involved in over the years, since 1995, 92 and 95, and this is probably the most rewarding because it is in perpetuity, and I know that someday I'm going to be there.
Well, hopefully for many, many years down the road that you're going to be there as well. Did you come from a family of veterans?
No, I didn't. I'll take that back.
Yeah.
Yes, not a family of veterans, but my father was in World War II. He was in the Army unit that liberated Dachau.
Oh my goodness!
So did
he talk much about it?
Not until about 2 or 3 years before he died. I got he and Mom on camera, on video camera, and did an interview of them of the whole life. Well, when he got to that time, when he was in Munich, and when they got into the camp, I think he was in there. I think he said the second or third day. But when they got there, most of the SS had escaped, but they still had a lot of them. But I won't describe it, but just bodies everywhere.
Well, we talk about this, quite a bit, and I think everyone needs to know this, especially school kids these days that are, every year they're 1 year further removed from it. Right. We know how much those wonderful folks who stormed the beach in Normandy on D-Day are revered by the French, of course, what they've done in this area. And I think you can't really talk about enough, and really anyone who spend any time looking at these type of documentaries, and like your dad, seeing the horror that must have been unimaginable. You can't even make this stuff up. Listen, President Eisenhower, of course, General Eisenhower at the time, did one of the smartest things ever, and he said, we're going to film this. And we're not filming it because of the macabre nature. We're going to film it because no one's going to believe what you're going to see. And if we don't film this, whether it's Dachau or Birkenwald or Theresienstadt, go down the list, right, of these, people are going to think we made this up. And stills won't do the trick as much as the filming. And so really, I think anybody who has, have relatives that experience that, a great deal of gratitude, not just to your father who was there doing the liberation, but to Eisenhower who did this. And I think you just can't talk about this stuff enough. And you think about it, it's not like it was 3 centuries ago.
No.
Right? And, listen, it's in our lifetimes, in that aspect of it. So my father fought in World War II as well. He was in the Pacific, and he was at Guadalcanal, and which was right, exactly, and had its own issues, and to say the least. But it was a very important battle as well. So again, we just can't shout these things out enough on this. Getting just back to the La Jolla, Golden Triangle Rotary Club, what can our listeners do to support the club? Donations, volunteering, product. What can we do?
Well, we meet in the faculty club at UCSD on campus. Beautiful location, and We started out it was started in 1986. I joined in 1992, but we were for many years, about 30 years, we're in the La Jolla Marriott. And then we, after COVID, disruption of COVID and so forth, we moved over to the faculty club, and it's really we're going to be celebrating our 40th anniversary next week.
Congratulations!
Next Friday, and we're putting 40 years into 1 hour program has been a real challenge, but it's pretty impactful, and they can actually go to La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary Club and see about us, and if they'd like to come visit us, first meetings are free.
I think that's terrific. It's a good idea. So go to that website, and again, if you want to see something spectacular, go out to the Miramar National Cemetery on Saturday the 23rd and see this unbelievable undertaking of 23,000 flags on these wonderful heroes cemetery at where they're there. And will you put them also out not only just on the grave sites, but they have them also in different areas as well, correct?
Well, we have they have that what's called the columbarium. That's
correct.
Where all the niches are.
Yeah, that's where my father-in-law is.
Yeah, they're five
That's
they
right.
call them niches.
That's
5
right.
niches high.
That's right.
And what we do is we put one flag right at the seam between 2 of those verticals. So one flag for every 10.
Right.
But then all the rest of them are in front of the grave sites.
Well, good. I'll let their family know he'll get his flag as well in that aspect of it. Rick Clark, what a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for coming in and spending some time with us. Good luck on the event on March 23rd and for all of the things that you folks do at the La Jolla Golden Triangle Rotary Club. We're very appreciative.
Well, thank you, and you're welcome.
Yeah, that sounds terrific. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed this later edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show podcast, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.